Introducing my brother, Dion Lewis.
Yo.
Dion, was good.
Poppin'.
First off, thank you for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
But give us a little background on who you are, what you do, where you come from.
Plain and simple, I like to refer to myself as like a hybrid, for real. Like, I'm born in Chicago, was raised in Harlem, lived in Harlem pretty much the biggest portion of my life. And then, let's say like 18, 19 is when I moved to LA and stayed in LA for like 8 years. And then I did a little bit of Africa and Ghana last year for a couple months. It's not more or less like what don't I do, it's just whatever I could get my hands on is like, you know, whatever I choose to, you know, engulf myself in is, you know, what I do. Been making clothes for about 7-8 years. Started out styling. Really started out as a ball player for real. That's really the origin. Was definitely like one of the Ball is Life cats. Like, that meant everything to me at the time. Then I just transitioned that into just the creative realm, to be real. Just doing a whole bunch of, I'd say, self-work in the sense of learning what I like, what I don't like, and trying to apply those different things and also translate those different things through the medium of making clothes, taking photographs, conducting different pop-ups, just a plethora of things, to be honest.
Do it all.
Yeah.
So, the pit walks.
Yeah.
Tell me about those photography walks.
Pit walks is something that we started really once I moved back to New York a couple months ago. And that was just to create another branch through my brand. Because of course, within Purest Form and with the clothes being at the forefront, I wanted to add like another element through a hobby of mine, which turned out to be photography, something that I've been taking serious for the past couple years. I'm wanting to find something else that was also relatable to people. So doing the pit walks all around the city has been super eye-opening. I've learned just so much about my city, learned so much about how to sustain a community, which is really the best part, because I get all type of like friends that I've either met over just my whole period of time in New York or in Chicago or in LA, like just different people wanting to, you know, get involved and just attach themselves to something bigger than themselves. And it's been going super well. It's something that I want to definitely take to a global scale, but right now I'm just focusing on keeping it national. But you know, you got to start in your hood. So starting it out in the city has been like the best thing, and it's been proven to be something that, you know, is going to be around for a while.
So talk more about community and what it means to you, why it's important, and what you do to cultivate that sense of community.
Community is important to me because, like, you know, the saying says like it takes a village, right? So me having, you know, this background from Harlem, like Harlem's super small and everybody know everybody. So it's like me coming up in that and seeing how everybody interacts with everyone on a positive tip and like uplifts one another and just checks in on, you know, what everyone is doing from my knowledge and my foresight is something that I've seen in LA. Seeing that community was dope, but really having to build that community and locate it was dope because LA is different. LA is very different.
How so?
I think you have to go out of your way to find those, you know, like-minded individuals, those hive-minded individuals, because it's so much like just transplant, you feel me? Like New York, you get people that come from everywhere, so like you're kind of used to it. But then in LA, it's like you get the people that are from New York that's going over there, but it's so like widespread to where it's like, okay, cool, some way, somehow, we're gonna cross paths with this person or this person or this person or this person. And then, you know, figure out the commonalities between one another and then seeing how the community gets formed from something like that, you feel me? Like, it's pretty like joyous to, you know, watch come together because it's unexpected, you know, it's not forced.
All right. So how do you feel like your experiences in these different places have shaped you? Because they've been at different points in your life, which I'm sure are very pivotal. You know, we're still young, but
Yeah.
these are formative years. So you spent time in LA, spent time in Ghana.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how has that shaped your perspective and how you see and feel things?
Being in Ghana shaped my perspective to the highest degree that I didn't, see coming. That was my first time going out of the country, for one, let alone being able to go with my family, which was the biggest blessing. It changed my perspective in seeing how little you need to achieve true happiness. And what I mean by that is just like being good with enough, if that makes sense. You feel me? Like being in New York, you kind of feel like, oh dang, like I need this, or you get caught up in that having to like keep up mentality, which is something that I personally, ran into over my formative years. But over there, seeing like how little you can have and still have the whole sense of community, have the intellect, be like genuinely happy from your core and your spirit, being at the fact that you're just like outside, you're engulfed in your neighborhood, you're seeing different people, you're saying good morning, like there's these different gestures and these different, just really like those gestures, very, very like key to seeing like, hey, like it's cool to be here. Like I'm present in this moment. New York is just so fast paced that you forget, certain key things like saying good morning to the next
humanity.
person. Yeah, it can be a lack of humanity. Definitely depending upon the location. But Ghana flipped my whole perspective around and just seeing how little you need to like really be happy for.
So do you ever wish that you could have stayed in one place ever?
Nah, I don't. Like not only me bouncing from like city to city, but like neighborhood to neighborhood. Like it's not one neighborhood I can be like, yo, I'm from this block, or yo, I'm from this area. Like, nah. The fact that I've, been fortunate enough to move from place to place to place and be exposed to like different environments, just really it shaped my whole entire being. It shaped my whole entire character. Like I'm a mix of, all these different experiences that I've lived, like living in this place, living in that place, living in this place, being from this area, moving all the way across the country, moving back across the country, moving out the country. Like it's a nice pot of just, these different areas and these different people that I've met over time, it just engulfing that.
So before we started recording, we was talking about, it almost seems obvious that we are not gonna live here forever, or even for the time being, because it's unhealthy here. Where ideally would you see yourself living? It doesn't have to necessarily be a specific place, but what does that place look like?
That place for me really just looks like harmony. And when I say that, I mean, how far in the future are we talking? Like, are we talking at a point of like, yo, you have a family by this point? Or, I don't know, the way my brain works, bro, it's like, I could be here today and like somewhere else like next week. Like, it's really wild. But I'm super appreciative of that because it allows me to never stay stagnant. So like, yes, that future place for me like looks harmonious. It looks peaceful, but I feel like that's also very niche because I don't feel as though I've fully achieved like full harmony, full peace. I've had like bits and pieces, and I think that's a part of the whole like, joy of living in these different areas. You feel me? But like, where I ideally would want to be is just surrounded by like authentic love, like all the time.
Right, and I asked that question. I don't even
know what that really is for real. Like,
yeah,
I'm still discovering that, and I think that's what's still keeping me kicking in the game. Like, yo, like that's the mission. Find the love.
Right. And I asked that question knowing it's kind of open-ended.
Yeah.
Knowing because it's not so easy to just pick a place and say that this is where I want to be.
Dot on the map and like going.
Yeah.
Word.
Do you feel like you can make it work anywhere?
Yeah. Yeah, like genuinely speaking, I genuinely do feel like I could make it work, like literally anywhere. Like you put me in Timbuktu, I'm gonna make it work. Like that's genuinely how I feel, cause I know like how I present myself. I know what I put out in the world is gonna be returned back to me, you know? Like nothing is threatening, nothing is, mischievous. It's real love. So the more of that I put out to the world, wherever I'm at, I'm gonna get it. That's just how I feel it happens.
So you've talked a lot about community, people that, community suggests people outside of your family.
True.
Now, let's talk about what a family might look like for you, or ideally what you would want to build using a family. Harmony obviously comes to mind.
Legacy is a big one.
Right.
I'm really, really big on legacy and wanting to just pass down not only things that are tangible, but things that are just like sustainable generation to generation to generation. I feel like that's the main goal with any of my guys like around me, and just any of my guys in different states. Anybody that I'm connected to, like that is our goal.
Right.
Like, it's all about the last name, not the first.
A lot of people say that wealth, like generational wealth, is the family. Yeah. It's not about dollars, like money in the bank to pass on. It's if your family is healthy and wealthy, then you have achieved generational wealth. It's still not easy to achieve, but it's a little easier than people think. So when it comes to legacy, what you're trying to pass on, what are some of those things? What are some of these specific things where it's like, I want to make sure this lives on?
The main thing, honestly, is the knowledge. It's like the simple saying of like teaching a man how to fish. You teach him one time, like he good. Like I feel like over my time of living up until this point, like I've been taught how to fish in different ways, being that I've been exposed to different communities, you feel me? So I feel like, with me already having that knowledge, putting my family onto that game ahead of time and giving them the best type of foundation, that's really the most important part to me, is making sure that not only is my foundation continually straight, but making sure that same pathway is already carved for whomever's gonna come after me, whether that be family, whether that be someone that just wants to look to a positive example of somebody that has the overall goal of making their own impact onto the world. Like, bro, you zoom all this out, bro, we just like one little dot in all of this, you feel me? Like, yet and still we have things that we have in common, things that we don't. And I think that's one of the more pivotal messages in my brand specifically, seeing that we have more things in common than we don't, and that's where community comes in. And that's where, building that bridge to the entire world comes in,
Okay, so talk more about this message, the themes of your brand. Mm-hmm. I know that connection and harmony, like these are just themes that keep popping up. So this is something that feels close to you. How does your brand embody that? And what are just some of the themes of your brand that you try to convey?
The themes of my brand that I convey overall: authentic, gnarly, poetry, hardcore. It's just like super raw. Like it's literally the most rawest thing it could be. It can't be tainted. It can't be played with, like me starting the brand in 2015, I want to say, bro. Like I started it out of my college dorm. You feel me? Like I had a couple names I wanted to go with, but I just started to discover introspection, I think, around that time, because I was only in college for a semester. And then after that semester, I was like, nah, like screw that, I'm gonna move to LA. But I was like, yo, what are some of like my own core values? What are, the things that I do want to leave behind, stylistically, artistically, aesthetically, creatively, all these different aspects. And it really all comes down to, wanting to leave an authentic impact through my own story. So it's like, okay, cool. Like yo, is this kid that was born here, but he moved here. Like, it's possible to, you know, not be from a particular area, but get acquainted to another area and still, you know, find a community once again, like we're speaking on. Like, it's like a weird math equation.
And so the name of your brand is InPuristForm.
Yeah, acronym IPF, word.
It speaks so much to me because what you're saying is like raw, authentic, true. You know, truth is a very important value that has been lost.
Yeah.
So with that sense of purity and raw authenticity, it reminds me of when on the pit walks, you were talking to me about taking pictures in the moment and how that's the most important way to take a picture is when you feel the impulse, when you see the thing happening. You don't really want to time it or frame it so much. You want to capture it when you feel it.
You tainting it now. Like,
right.
What you just said, like impulse, that's honestly like my whole maneuver is impulse. And that's worked with me and that's worked against me. But it's like, it's me at the end of the day, you know? Like, taking pictures has been such like a healthy outlet for myself because it's allowed me to just like break out of that shell of just talking to the next person. You feel me? Not saying that, you know, you got to talk to everybody, but when you feel it's a moment that you want to literally encapsulate in time and freeze it, like, I think for all photographers, like, just speaking for myself, just take advantage of those moments and like, don't have no fear.
So we were talking about family and legacy. That's the future. What about your past? Who are some of the family members or people in your life that have had an outsized impact on you, really helped shape who you are?
My mother, first and foremost. Like, my mom, she's the illest. Like, she's literally done, I seen her do everything that she said she was gonna do. So that she has the biggest impact on me. In no particular order, my grandfather, God rest his soul, like my grandfather was one of the illest. He taught me like a lot of the game along with my grandmother, who's 30 times as ill. My father, superhero, you know, like just my foundation was so solid, even though we were widespread. So like I may have had like this family member over here or like this family member over there, but you know, that actual communication is what kept me going, and the understanding of, you know, no matter how far, you know, the distance between such and such and such and such, is really about that love. And I think that's something that I also transmit to whoever I interact with.
Do you feel like you come from greatness because of this and it's positioning you to be great?
Yeah, I say so. I say so because I feel like you gotta have an example in order to know what's possible, but then go about it your own way to then pass that on, you know? And then that's where, you know, legacy comes back into play. Like the way my mom got it, I'm doing it my way. So then whomever comes after me could see my example as well as her example and be like, oh, okay, cool. I like the way she did this. Oh, I like the way he did that, you know? And do their own thing with that. As long as you see that the example was possible, especially from somebody along the bloodline and even someone that's not even a part of your bloodline. Because I got a lot of different family members that may not even be by blood. You feel me? Like it runs so deep through having these pure and authentic, as we're saying, like interactions just over the course of life, bro. Like it's crazy. It's crazy when you make me think about that. Like,
yeah,
it's wild.
So your brand, let's talk about some of the nitty gritty of where it came from. You say you started in your dorm room in college. What are some of the horror stories, you know, like,
oh, I got you.
the tough things.
I got you right off the top. I've been fortunate enough to conduct a couple pop-ups in New York, all successful. But this one instance, I did a pop-up in East Williamsburg, and the crowd was already like, people were pulling up. The crowd was getting larger. and the guy and the space that I was renting from, he just shut the whole thing down on me because he was like, it was too many people. And I'm like, yo, like, what? I got people outside. Like, I'm putting everything on the line to even do this because I was living in LA at the time. So I just like flew to New York to pull this pop-up off and then go back to, you know, my job at the time. And I can't even fully like put my finger on it as far as like what drove him to be like, no, especially at the last minute. Like that really like threw me off. But it was just a moment where I'm just like, nah, I gotta convert all this pressure and just take 2 steps back to take 8 steps forward. So I went next door to this bar and I spoke to the owner and I'm like, yo, I got X amount of people outside. I'm about to bring you mad business. Just let me like use your space for a couple hours. And you know, by the grace of God, like he let me use this space. We pulled off an amazing pop-up at that time. The owner was crying, like that's the most bread he made in X amount of time. Like he was super grateful. I was super grateful. And I was just thankful as well at the fact that I was able to be like quick with it like that and really think on my feet. Cause I'm like, man, like it was already like evening time. I'm like, yo, like it's already people here. People want to buy clothes. People want to view art. People want to just have a good time. And my name on the line, like that's like the #1 horror story. Like I don't even think it gets no worse than that because I don't really know like how I fully put that off. That's actually really crazy.
It sounds like you created something.
Yeah.
Created something from nothing.
That's the point of the brand though. Like just thinking on your feet, not tainting any ideas, and just moving at your pace. I feel like that's another great aspect as well, just pacing. Like me being able to move from place to place and be a part of this community, be etched in this community, you know, get along with these guys, get along with those guys. Like it all comes in hand with just pacing myself. You feel me? And literally like following suit and staying that way.
How important do you think those notions are for Black Americans? Thinking on your feet, being raw and authentic and true and real, and finding ways to make things out of nothing and then possibly build community from it.
I think that's something that's just like etched in us, bro. Honestly, like it does take particular experience to realize that you have those notions in you. That way they're activated. But that's why I'm saying, as far as like seeing an example, like, yo, seeing my mom's drive the U-Haul truck from Chicago to New York, like, I'm like, oh, this how I gotta get it. You feel me? Like, it's possible. Just seeing that it's possible is what drives it.
Examples are so important.
But examples from like your own people are so important. I feel like so many people get caught up in just like other people that they feel as though their mentality is like on the same level, or even just different like celebrities and people, you know, going along with just like false idolism and all that type of jazz. Like that's not necessarily like our cup of tea. Like our cup of tea is, okay, who in my family actually did something that they said they was gonna do.
Yeah, being real.
How did they do it? You feel me? Let's start with the lineage first, and then just pass on those gems, bro. Like it's simple math when it come down to it. I think just people get so caught up in just trying to keep up.
What's something that you feel like you need to create or accomplish? Could be big, long-term, big idea type thing, but what's something that you want to achieve?
What's something I want to achieve for myself, or as far as what I want to like achieve to give to the world?
This is a great question. Turn right back at me. I think because you asked me that means that what you create for yourself will have to be for the world.
Yeah, bro. Like honestly, at the end of the day, bro, like like I said, bro, I'm a mere speck. To be real, we all just specks, bro. Like that's really it. It's how much did you give to the world before you left it, and what exactly was that? And was it actually impactful? And did somebody actually learn from it? Or did it just look cool? I'm not really with that. Just like, did it look cool?
Appearances and...
Yeah, you feel me? Like, my kids can't eat, like, what look cool? Like, my kids gotta eat, oh, this was a path that was hard for me to actually, you know, achieve their version of greatness. Because my version of greatness is going to be different from, you know, whatever my lineage versions of greatness is going to be, you know?
So what might some of that look like?
I don't want to be basic and say like financial freedom and overall, you know, happiness, but it's like such a harsh truth because like our people already have the odds against us and we already come out the womb with a disadvantage. So it's like, okay, how can we now reverse Uno card the disadvantage? You know, that's why, you know, following those positive examples come into play and just realizing, okay, hey, let me think about what I actually want to do and what I actually want to leave for those behind me and stick to that. Let me stay to the course. Let me not, you know, fall off track.
How important do you think art is in terms of what we're talking about here is establishing a legacy and completing and achieving things, really just staying sane? I feel like art really helps, or just creation really helps with our people. That's what we do is create something out of nothing and show that's like, yo, this is actually happening. It's pretty absurd, but this is real. So how important do you think art is in that sense and creation generally?
Art in that sense is vital, super, super vital. I say that because when it comes down to it, it's all about translation. You know, like some people are visual learners. Some people are, what would you say, like physical learners. Like they have to, you know, see it done first before they actually believe and follow suit.
Right.
That's pivotal, bro. Like pivotal, super, super, super pivotal. Cause there's definitely whether that be like certain artists, whether that be certain actual artworks, actual exhibitions personally that I've been to that have just like struck me to my core without even necessarily meaning a particular artist. You feel me? So I'm like, oh, that's the actual formula. It comes down to the actual translation of said art.
Of the execution. That's really what it is.
And the execution. The execution is another great aspect to it. I think that's another aspect of what I want to leave behind. It's like, dang, don't look at only what he did, but look at how he executed it. Like, yo, he did it his way. I want that to be the thing. Like, yo, at the end of the day, like, it was his way, not the other way.
Where do you think fashion fits into this? Because it's such a unique version of expression. When you're wearing it, it's like art. Right, individualism for sure.
Yeah.
Where do you think it fits into all of that?
I think fashion is fickle. It's super, super fickle. For me, I'd say it's more about style. Cause fashion, I get inspired from the hobos and
yo, that ass.
You know what I'm saying? Like
the old ladies be walking out with the layers and shit. Like, bro, that's you.
Babies, like I get, you know, I get inspired from like a lot of different things, bro. And it don't even be about like what be worn. It be like how they wearing it. Yo, bro, when I was in Africa, I seen mad fake brands, right? Cool. But the way they was getting it off, I'm like, oh, nah, they not even doing this in the States like this. Like, yo, like, it's really all about that authentic expression, the actual individualism. Individualism is what's going to set you apart for the long haul. Like, that's really what it's about to me, bro. It's about, like, the style and, like, how they perceive it themselves, not how they think that they want to be perceived.
It can be felt how they express it.
Yeah, it's automatically felt. And if it's felt, then it's real. If it's not, then get it out of here, bro.
What has been your process of individualism and self-discovery?
That's a cold question. Isolation. Mad isolation. Like, I spent so much time with myself, and I can't wait to spend even more time with myself to discover, you know, new things that attract me. Find different etches and old things that attracted me. You feel me? Like, isolation is the biggest key because you have mad time to yourself. You know, you're getting inspired by different films. You're taking the time to, actually go to the library, go actually scan these photos. Don't, be on Google so much, At the end of the day, when it comes to like the internet stuff really just a tool. It's more or less like how we, utilize those tools, because we're just in such a different time now, especially rolling into the next year. Like, it's so crazy how not only technology is progressing, but just the overall advancement of people. It seems as though it's declining, but depending on the side of the fence that you're on, you could really, play this game the right way and, get what you want out of it.
Okay, two things.
Yeah.
You said the next year specifically. Why'd you mention that? What do you feel about? Just go ahead.
I feel like we already in a time of mass individualism, and I say that in a sense of like, there's so many ways to make bread, bro. Like, there's so many ways to make money. Like, all legal, of course, but like, just you can literally do whatever you want, attach consistency, authenticity, perseverance, these different great attributes and qualities to one thing that can then have sub things to them, but it's just possible. And I feel like next year, especially at the pace that we're moving, like we already in November, and that's crazy to me. At the top of this year, I was living in LA. Now I'm back in New York. I didn't know it was gonna be like that. You feel me? Like, it's just following the course.
Yeah, I feel things coming too.
Yeah.
And I feel like because it is a hyper individualistic era.
Yeah.
That means that it won't really retain, because people, we can't retain all of these individuals.
It's a lot of it.
It's a lot of it.
And everything feels oversaturated.
Right, everything.
But I still suggest, like, yo, if that's something that you're really about, continue to get it out the mud. Like, I don't really like when I'm, let's say, like, making clothes as a most like blatant example. I got the blinders on, bro. Like, I don't really look at what everybody else is doing it pertains to, like, how they're doing their clothes. Like, it's really coming from my spirit, whether that be how I market it, what's being shot, the graphics, all, different intricacies of just running a brand for real. That's something that over time I'm learning how to do more and more efficiently every day. Just running an actual brand. Because so many people be like, oh, nah, it's not a brand. It's more or less like, nah, at the end of the day, like, yo, we contributed to consumerism, bro. Like, yes, it's a brand, but what's your overall impact? And stick to that. Like, don't get all lost in the different sauce that's out here. Like,
right.
What is it that you're, trying to leave for the world? And how are you conveying that?
So back to self-discovery and isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like retracting from all of the distractions of this modern world, which could be tech, could be the sheer amount of people that are around, do you feel that's the best way for you to self-discover?
I say so. There's definitely just like a plethora of places that I want to discover on my own time to further elongate, oh snap, like I'm loving what I'm seeing from this community. Let me see how I could either etch myself in there or take positive qualities and traits that I've noticed and apply it to my own or bring it back home. It's like, it's honestly like being on your modern day, like Lewis and Clark expedition energy. You feel me? Like, just literally leaving, exploring, leaving the block, exploring, leaving the neighborhood, leaving the town, leaving all of that, and just exploring, seeing something different. Like, I remember what it was like to like be in Harlem and then go to Soho. But that wasn't really, you know, something that was proactive around like 04, 05, and I'm mad young around this time. But I was exposed to it early. So I knew what it was like. I knew, you know,
that there was a world outside of
the world
Harlem.
outside of the block.
Yeah.
Like, plain and simple. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, back to like isolation, bro. That's really what I feel is the best method. Just leaving your actual environment, going to see, you know, what else is out there, and bringing it back home to your people.
Who are some of your favorite artists right now? Whether it's just your favorite people creating, could be musicians, could be actors, people you see online, whoever, fashion designers.
All my friends, like I'm inspired by all of my friends. I'm inspired by you. I'm inspired by my team. I'm inspired by literally like all of my friends, bro. Like that's really all I'm like paying attention to, because what it comes down to that I've learned over time, especially living in LA, is that it's about the ecosystem that you built. It all goes back to, you know, community.
Community, yeah.
So it's like, yo, how can we further support one another despite where we're at? You know, despite being across the country from each other, despite being the next block over from each other. Like, yo, like, cool. What is it that you do? What is it that I do? Are there commonalities between what we do, and how can we make it work?
All right.
That's what I've done with all of my friends, bro. Like, all of my friends do great things. So I'm super just inspired by people that surround me.
What about some works of art that have inspired you? Like maybe movies, maybe a piece has really inspired you?
Since I moved back, bro, I've been going to getting back in the mix of like going to different galleries, going to different exhibitions, going to this museum, that museum, going to my friends' exhibitions, which has been like the biggest blessing. Really, even going to my boy Corey, like he had an exhibition, Prophecy Fulfilled, like that was super inspiring. The fact that my man's is like not from New York, boom, first show in New York, put the whole city on his head. Like, I love to see that. That's what I mean by like not necessarily coming from said community, going to another community, seeing where you get it, seeing where you fit in rather, and seeing how you can contribute, bro. It's all about contributions. Like, really, I'm being inspired by life. Sometimes like my phone will be dead, bro, or like my AirPods will be dead, and like I'll be so immersed in what's going on around me that I'm just like, oh snap, like I feel like I slow time down, and I'm just like I'm present. That's something that I've been learning to just practice more, just overall just presence,
being still, being present,
being still, because time's finite, man. Like, we gotta really stretch time out.
And all of this is so fast, you know, not just the city, but the world. The pace of humans is just
fast.
It's on 2x right now.
We advancing so crazy. So it's really it all come down to like, yo, what you gonna contribute to the world? What you gonna contribute to the game? And then what you gonna leave with?
Okay, so I want to read some words out.
Yeah.
And you're gonna tell me what comes to mind or what they make you feel.
Okay.
So let's start with power is the first one.
Power makes me think of another connotation, which is impact. When I think of power, I think of impact, and I think of positive impact.
What about creation?
When I think of creation, I think of life. We all know what happens with when life is created. Like, that's how we all get here. So that's the foundation, creation.
What about struggle?
When I think about struggle, I think about success. Because there's a lot of success in failure. Like, there's a lot of success in failure.
Well, my next word was gonna be success.
Okay, then boom. 2 steps ahead of you, failure. When I think of success, I think of failure. Because success could be here today, going tomorrow. And failure is clearly not something that we want to achieve, but we should achieve. Because there's so many types of perfections and those imperfections of failure and also of success.
I love that. Well, I think that's a great final note.
Hell yeah.
To end up on. Bro, I want to thank you so much
Of course,
for this conversation. And man, just to shout out my dude here, bro. This mind just creates, and you've really helped me personally see the value in creating things and creating and cultivating communities, specifically on those walks, being able to create and cultivate new relationships that all come together for one common goal, which could be something as simple as, let's go take pictures in a city. But what's the big idea? You know, we're still figuring out where we're going. We're all in this together. Where are we going? We're not exactly sure, but we know that the place we're going is the right place.
The right place, and we don't even know the destination.
And I just want to thank you for holding that torch, because it's so important. And yeah, I just want to give you that gratitude,
you, bro. I appreciate that. No one man about the program, bro.
Facts, bro. Thanks.
Of course.